Rama listened with rapt attention to all that Anjaneya said. He observed that such an exploit was possible to Anjaneya and to none else. As a mark of gratitude, he warmly embraced the adventurer. Now the grave problem was how to cross the ocean and get to Lanka. Things still seemed gloomy to Rama. Dejection was still lurking in his heart. Just then, Sugriva had his say in the matter. Calmly he came out with it.
Raghava, you are the knower of everything. Yet I shall put in a word. That man who is unduly dejected and depressed achieves nothing in life. Sorrow wears away prowess. Now that the whereabouts and welfare of Vaidehi is known, our immediate concern is to find out the ways and means of reclaiming her. Our resources are great. The intelligent and variant manpower at our disposal is immense. Our representative and eminent men are all eager to start on expedition.
The great army was forthwith mobilized. At an auspicious time, Rama gave permission to move. Full of war zeal, the entire force marched towards the South Seashore. Strict orders were given that the towns and villages on the way should in no way be inconvenienced or molested. The dust raised by the moving army rose up in clouds. The noise of the march was tumultuous. Reaching the seashore, the army was comfortably lodged in the adjoining forest. Rama, Lakshmana and Sugriva gave thought to the measures to be taken for crossing the sea. In Lanka, Ravana's position was awkward. He was ashamed of the exploits of Anjaneya. Fear of impending trouble disturbed his mind. He was informed of the movement of Sugriva's army to the opposite shore. He would somehow manage to infiltrate into the island. Rama was a sworn enemy. His action as Janasthan was no mean one. For all these reasons, he called a council of his ministers and invited their opinion on the grave situation that was thwarting Lanka. Supplementing one another, all the ministers and commanders struck the same note that Ravana was invincible in all the three worlds, that Indrajit or any one of the generals was sufficient to wipe out the whole of the monkey forces and to defeat and kill Rama and Lakshmana. Anxiety about Lanka's safety was out of question. Vibhishana, the youngest brother of Ravana, was the only person who struck a dissident note. With a due reverence to the elder brother and in clear terms, he pointed out that what Rama did was in self-defense. There was neither virtue nor justification in Ravana stealing away Sita. The enemy's strength was not truly known. Lanka's strength was overestimated. Hanuman's action in Lanka were forewarnings. In these circumstances, a peaceful and honorable return of Sita to her husband was the safest course. Delay in this respect would be disastrous. Ravana gave a patient hearing to this council. Then he dissolved the council in order to get time for consideration. The virtue-imbued youngest brother Vibhishana again called all alone on the lust-laden eldest brother Ravana, prostrated before him and pleaded with him.
Brother, ever since you brought Sita captive into Lanka, its prosperity is rapidly waning, its magnificence fading. Inauspicious omens are in evidence everywhere. These are not only my observations, but also of many discerning citizens. Brother, they are afraid of expressing their views to you. I pray to you to give thought to these very consequential developments.
Ravana made no response. He simply asked his brother to go. An emergent council was hastily summoned. It was imperative on all the potentates to participate in it. Ravana made a pageant royal drive from his palace to the hall of council in a stately golden carriage. Warriors in gorgeous uniforms marched along with him. Trumpets were blown, drums were beaten. People who thronged the royal road bowed in loyalty and shouted for his victory. Ravana sat on the throne in the spacious chamber. The dignitaries occupied seats according to their rank. Imposing was the assembly. The king addressed it on the issue that agitated his mind. He had carried away Sita from Dandaka forest, having fallen in love with her. She had not yet responded to his suit. Returning her to Rama was out of question. Maruti's havoc in Lanka was due to inadvertence. Sugriva and Rama had encamped on the other shore of the sea. The ways and means of killing them should be evolved. This council had become belated due to Kumbhakarna's period of sleep. Even then, it was not too late. This was the gist of his talk. Kumbhakarna was the first to debate. He said,
"A wise king consults first and then acts. Whereas you have foolishly acted and now you consult us to gain mettle. If you had vanquished Rama and Lakshmana in war and taken Sita as the prize, She would have followed you even as a river flows from a mount to a moat. The delay in Rama's discharge of arrow is your extra span of life. Let bygones be bygones. You are my brother. In spite of your blunders, I am ever yours. I have resolved to kill Rama and Lakshmana. When my decision bears fruit, you enjoy Sita to your heart's content.
This speech is full of irony of fate. Mahaparswa, a mighty general, spoke next. He said,
He is a fool who does not help himself to the honey obtained in a forest infested with ferocious animals. Lord, you have snatched away Sita. Enjoy her as yours. If the enemies happen to gain access to the impregnable Lanka, we shall see to it that they are slain.
Ravana explained his position.
I am prevented from knowing Sita. I may take a woman captive. But if I molest her modesty against her consent, my head will burst into pieces. That is a curse inflicted on me by Brahma the Creator.
Prahasta recounted the invincible strength of Ravana. The flattery tickled the king's vanity. The assembly applauded the chief counselor's speech. Vibhishana was a solitary figure who did not join the applause. He warned his royal brother of the impending death and of the destruction of Lanka. In clear and unmistakable terms, he defined the divine valor of Rama. Indrajit, just like this note of warning made by his uncle, he blurted out,
I am ashamed of my uncle's cowardice. He lacks the mettle of our race, or his intentions are against us. We are not to meekly submit to his proposal. Gods, demigods, and demons we have subdued. Who are these two petty humans? Vibhishana's so-called warning is an insult to the people of Lanka.
Vibhishana gave him the calm reply. O nephew, you are still inexperienced. Strength without virtue leads to damnation. You and the ministers are party to your father's wickedness. You are all heading towards annihilation. Because of love for my people, I oppose your evil designs. Now Ravana got enraged. He thundered,
One may live with sworn enemies and with serpents, but never with treacherous brothers and cousins. The elephant in the forest is not afraid of the hunters, as it is afraid of the tame brother elephant that betrays it to the hunters. As the bee abandons the flower after sucking honey, the envious brother topples down his prosperous brother at a critical time. Vibhishana, I would have you slain this moment. Because you are my brother, I spare you. Vanish from my sight.
Vibhishana made his parting statement. Brother, goaded by your evil ways, you are rushing headlong towards destruction. Let me at least save Lanka to the extent I can. With 4 other good Rakshasas, Vibhishana rose in the air and hastened northward to the place where Rama was encamped. Sugriva sighted a shining mass in the sky moving towards his cantonment. When it came near, it was found to consist of 5 Rakshasas armed to the hilt. As they stayed suspended in the air, the chief of them introduced himself as Vibhishana, the youngest brother of Ravana, come over there having fallen out with his brother on the issue of the imprisonment of Sita. He wanted to surrender himself to Rama. Sugriva reported the matter to Rama and expressed his own doubts about the genuineness of the case. The unscrupulous demons were capable of any wickedness in any form. The proper course would be to kill all the 5 downright. True to his royalty, Rama invited the opinions of his chiefs on this knotty issue. Angada, the monkey prince, came out with his views. He said,
The Rakshasas are rash and foolhardy. Sometimes they are capable of doing good in their own violent way. If we can utilize this brother of Ravana and his 4 men to serve our anti-Rakshasa purpose, we shall absorb them. If that is not possible, we shall turn them out.
Sarabha submitted that an expert detective might be engaged to probe into the demon's motive. On the basis of his findings, the refugee was to be treated. Jambavan, who was well versed in the lore of sacred books, presented his opinion as follows.
The brother of Ravana, our enemy, has come to a wrong place at an improper time, seeking our friendship. Therefore, his arrival should be viewed with suspicion.
Then Mainda, an expert in polity, came out with a suggestion.
The exact words that Vibhishana uttered to his brother Ravana may be politely and tactfully elicited from him. From that datum, we can infer whether the man is good or bad. Action may be taken accordingly.
Anjaneya's turn came. He said,
I do not speak to display my learning or the talent of debate. What is expedient, that I place before you. The enemy becomes weak if the best of his men alienates from him and allies with us. So the question of killing the refugee does not rise at the outset. Even the wicked can be utilized for virtuous purpose if we know the art of doing it. In the present state of emergency, there is no time to appoint detectives to probe into the mental makeup of the fugitive. The place and time chosen by Vibhishana are quite regular. The enormity of the wickedness on the other side is becoming increasingly patent every day. Taking note of it, he has hastened to the right place in right time. What words Vibhishana uttered to his hostile brother is not the point. The attitude with which he has come to us counts for everything. His face indicates a clean mind within. My lord, this is my opinion about the newcomer. You do what you deem best on the matter.
Rama was immensely pleased with observations made by Hanuman. In fact, both of them concurred in their views of Vibhishana. Sugriva was directed by Rama to escort the refugee to his presence. But the Vanara king made a second appeal to Rama, reminding him of the treacherous ways of the Rakshasas. Either Ravana had set him up to play a foul game, or the youngest brother had betrayed the eldest at a critical time. In any case, the action was objectionable. Therefore, the pretenders had to be done to death. The Ravana-Vibhishana clique bore a similarity to that of Vali-Sugriva. Perhaps Rama had it in mind when he smilingly turned to Lakshmana and said, "Kings do not easily trust their neighbor kings, their close relatives and their brothers. All brothers cannot be as Bharatayas. All friends cannot be as Sugrivayas." Then turning to Sugriva, he said, "I assure protection to him who asks me for it, be he good or bad. This is my avowed mission in life. Even if Ravana asks for it, it will not be denied to him. No being can ever hurt me. Go and bring Vibhishana to me." This utterance of Rama spiritually implies that Atman can never be hurt. Sugriva saw into the glory and magnanimity of Raghava. Forthwith he went and escorted Vibhishana to his august presence. The fugitive, along with his 4 ministers, prostrated and submitted.
I, the youngest brother of Ravana, surrender to you, Rama. Relinquishing my all in Lanka, I have come to you.
Rama accepted him and granted refuge. Rama then asked Vibhishana the cause of his deserting his brother Ravana. Vibhishana recounted his secession from his brother on the issue of Sita's imprisonment. Interrogated further, he disclosed the innate strength of Ravana and his retinue. Rama pledged that he would exterminate Ravana and his forces before redeeming Janaki. At this stage, Vibhishana submitted that his knowledge, talents and service were entirely at the disposal of Raghava. At the instance of the elder brother, Lakshmana now brought seawater, and assisted by Sugriva, he bathed and crowned Vibhishana the king of Lanka. Though simple, it was a significant ceremony. Sugriva allied with Rama in order to get his personal problems solved. Vibhishana surrendered himself to Rama to save Lanka to the extent possible. He had no personal problem. Sugriva, Lakshmana and Vibhishana sat in council to discuss the possible methods of transporting the army across the sea. The new ally sagaciously suggested propitiating the sea god in the matter. This venture was approved of. At this juncture, a queer incident took place. Ravana sent Sukha, an envoy, to seduce Sugriva away from Rama. The gist of the villain's message was,
You and I are brotherly neighbor kings. Rama the weakling is a fugitive banished by a woman. He is incapable of maintaining a wife. What is the harm in my taking possession of that neglected woman? You please leave that forlorn vagabond to his fate and return with your army to Kishkinda.
Sugriva's rejoinder was,
Rama and I are friends. Being his enemy, you are my enemy too. Wicked that you are, Rama is going to rid the world of you. Are you a fool to fancy that after offending Rama you are going to live?
The monkeys now began to bell about the envoy. But Rama intervened, saved Sukha and kept him in detention so that he might be released later to go and report the result of his adventure to Ravana. For 3 days and nights, Rama lay on a grass bed facing the sea and beseeching the sea god. But there was no response. Face aglow with emotion, he rose and discharged into the sea a mystic arrow stating, A boor does not understand a besiege as he understands a blow. The splash created a terrible commotion in the sea. The aquatic creatures were all in danger. With folded palm, the sea god came trembling on his knees and submitted. O Ramachandra, I am one of the elements not deviating from the law of nature.
I lay bare the easiest causeway across me to the other shore. There is Nala, the expert engineer in your group. Let him build a bridge to Lanka.
So saying, the sea god disappeared. Accordingly, Nala took up the stupendous work. Thousands of monkeys joined hands in it. Carrying hills and rocks was like playing with balls. The project was no toil. It was a sport to them and a sight for the gods. In 5 days, the two lands were linked by a bridge. Then the army moved. Hanuman and Angada carried Rama and Lakshmana on their shoulders. The main forces marched while some swam and some others flew in the air. The land force, sea force and the air force were jointly advancing. They reached the other shore with a tumult. Then they marched towards the capital with quick and vigorous strides. Reaching it, the divisions were strategically placed, and then Sukha, the captive, was let go to inform the developments to Ravana. 2 other demon spies disguised as monkeys were busy probing into the strength of Rama's army. But they could not hide themselves from the scrutiny of Vibhishana, who detected and produced them before Rama for capital punishment. Whereas the merciful Raghurama gave protection to those 2 unarmed spies and supplied them with all the information they wanted to gather. The envoy as well as the 2 spies returned to Ravana and recounted the strength of the enemy. They persuaded their king to return Sita to Rama and to get reconciled with him. But all the 3 were expelled for their cowardly counsel. Sardula and an expert party of spies were then dispatched on espionage. Trembling with fear, they made a show of spying and reported their findings to Ravana. He was shaky at heart, but he pretended valor and swore he would not part with Sita for aught in the world. While the besiegement of Lanka by Rama was in full swing, the lust-cankered lord of Lanka was busy in duping Sita. He approached her and gave a detailed account of the destruction caused by his general to the monkey forces and of the death caused to Rama. Presently, a magician brought the severed head of Rama and placed it there as arranged beforehand. Ravana put it to her that now she had no alternative to becoming his wife. Sita, who was all along absorbed in the meditation of Rama, now burst forth in lamentation. She gave thought to Kaikeyi's evil design. She gave thought to Lakshmana's plight. She gave thought to the tragic frustration of Rama's career. Then she pleaded with Ravana to perform the only meritorious act of cutting off her head also and placing it side by side with her lord's head. At this juncture, Ravana was called urgently by the ministers to attend to some state business. No sooner did the wicked Rakshasa king leave the Ashoka garden than the illusory head of Rama disappeared. Then Sarama, a good-natured demoness, appeared before Maithili and consoled her, explaining that all that Ravana did was merely a trick and deception to win Sita. Rama had already laid siege to Lanka. Ravana called a council of war to discuss the latest developments. Malyavan, the maternal grandfather of Ravana and the senior-most statesman, presented his note of warning. Making reference to the enemy's progress and to the evil portents in Lanka, he stood for the immediate restoration of Sita for reconciliation with Rama. But Ravana ridiculed this idea, dissolved the council, and went up the palace terrace to survey the enemy forces. From the Mount Suvela, Rama and party had a glance at Ravana on the terrace and he at the enemy cantonment. All on a sudden, Sugriva flew at Ravana and knocked down the crown from his head. Then a terrible duel ensued, proving that they were matched to each other. Just when Ravana thought it is necessary to employ mystic methods, the offender was back again with Rama on the Mount Suvela. While Rama was amused over this incident, he objected to it because it was unkingly act when war was not yet declared. Sugriva pleaded that he got infuriated citing the villain. Rama saw to it that the distinguished monkeys and the bear warriors were stationed in strategic positions to combat the renowned demon warriors. The maneuver over, he commissioned Angada, the most appropriate person, to convey the war ultimatum to Ravana. Angada did accordingly. As a dignified prince, he approached the Rakshasa's tyrant and presented his mission.
I introduce myself to you as Angada, the son of the late King Vali, whose valiant relationship with you I am sure you have not forgotten. Now I am before you as the envoy of Rama. These are Rama's words. This is his ultimatum to you. O Ravana, because of the boons you have received from Brahma the Creator, you have become conceited and wicked. The holy ones, the celestials and the human beings have been tortured by you very long. The time has come now for the world to be cleansed of your heinous presence. You who carried away Sita stealthily during my brief absence now face me in battle and perish. There is no escape for you from my arrows. But if you are attached to life, with repentance, restore Sita to me and crave forgiveness. Then your life will be spared. In any case, you are no more the wicked king of Lanka. The virtuous Vibhishana has already crowned the good king of Lanka. Bid farewell to Lanka, either in death or in banishment.
Ravana got infuriated. He ordered 4 mighty ogres to catch and kill that insolent monkey. Angada allowed himself to be caught. With all the 4 demons clinging on to him, he shot up in the sky like a rocket. High up in the air, he gave a violent shake, thereby severing all the 4 ogres from his body. As they were falling down headlong, Angada gave each a kick which made them fall dead in the palace courtyard in the sight of Ravana. The envoy did one thing more. With another kick, he cleft asunder the tower of the council chamber in which the king and the ministers were assembled. Then he returned triumphant to Rama. The monkeys shouted for joy. Ravana was informed that the monkeys had surrounded Lanka, leaving no space for movement. Angrily, he went up the palace tower and surveyed the vast army. The monkeys were all armed with boulders and uprooted trees. Orders were immediately given to a huge Rakshasa army to go and crush the entire Vanara forces. Beating the drums and blowing the trumpets, the furious army charged forth violently. The monkeys threw boulders as if they were mere pebbles. They handled huge trees as if they were quarterstaffs and thrashed the demons mercilessly. They used their nails, fists and teeth. The battle was terrible to behold. Thousands fell dead on either side. The field was coated with blood and strewn with mangled bodies. It was a gruesome engagement. Still, valor alone was in evidence on either side. Independent of this conflagration, there were several mighty duels between eminent warriors. Angada fought with Indrajit, Hanuman with Jambumali, and Lakshmana with Virupaksha. Marvelous was the skill they displayed. The chariots of the enemies were smashed one after another. Rama was the one individual who wiped out thousands with his arrows. All day long, the terrible battle raged, and casualties on either side were immeasurable. Night came, and still there was no respite to the deadly fight. Unable to distinguish in the pitch darkness between comrade and foe, one inquired who the other was and dealt with accordingly. Horses and elephants employed by the demon were pierced to death by the monkeys with tooth and nail. The chariots were all broken to pieces. The gold ornaments worn by the ogres made them look like fireflies in darkness. The Vanaras could easily mark them out and squeeze them to death. The valiant Angada could defeat Indrajit the invincible. The monkeys roared for joy because of that victory. But Indrajit suddenly became invisible. He owned many mystic powers unknown to the others. Remaining concealed, he rained arrows on Rama and Lakshmana. They could only defend themselves, but could not attack the imperceptible enemy. Finally, Indrajit employed Nagastra, the mystic serpent weapon, and bound the 2 valiant brothers powerless to move. They lay on the ground as if dead. Following this tragedy, the morale of the monkeys sank. There was depression in the rank and file. Indrajit returned triumphantly to his father and reported that he had killed Rama and Lakshmana. Ravana was beside himself with joy because his plot had succeeded. He warmly embraced his son and congratulated him. His immediate plan was to win over Maithili. So he ordered the demonesses to convey Sita in the aerial car Pushpaka to the battlefield and show her the fate of her husband on whose prowess she boasted and relied so much. Seeing the 2 brothers lying motionless on the ground, Vaidehi burst out in wail. I sustained life for the sake of Rama, but I am fated to see him fallen. The expert astrological prediction was that I would beget sons and that I would not be widowed. That statement is belied. The rishis extolled my lord as the invincible. The holy men's pronouncement is belied. Now I must complete this tragedy by putting an end to my wretched existence. At this stage, the accompanying Trijata, the good demoness, intervened.
Instinctively, I feel that this gloomy spectacle is only a passing phase. You practiced patience so long. Please persist in it little more. You will see change of events for the better.
So she said and infused courage into Sita. Sugriva got completely upset seeing the plight of the 2 brothers. Fear and confusion overtook him, but Vibhishana goaded him on to calmness and to the discharge of duty even in adverse circumstances. He pointed out that the brothers were not dead. They were merely under the spell of a mystic charm. They would soon recover. The monkeys therefore kept vigilant watch over the brothers, prostrate and apparently lifeless. Paramatman enshrined in the hearts of all is seemingly inert to them who are given to the turmoils of sensuous life. Rama woke up, the duration of his enchantment being over. By sheer will, he set right his wounded limbs as best as he could. Then seeing the plight of Lakshmana, he burst into woe. Bereft of my peerless brother, life is a burden to me. I shall forthwith repay him by joining him in the other world. Only my pledge to Vibhishana fails to be fulfilled. Sugriva has more than repaid me. He need not sacrifice his men any further. Without Lakshmana, life is purposeless to me. I shall perish. At this stage, Vibhishana arrived on the spot to study the developments. Seeing the sorry situation in which the kingmakers were placed, he feared that the scheme to redress Lanka would not hatch. The monkeys in their turn ran pell-mell, mistaking the newcomer for Indrajit the Terrible. Now Sugriva calmly coped with the confused state of affair. First of all, he rallied the monkeys, explaining to them that the new arrival is that of Vibhishana the ally and not that of Indrajit the foe. He assured the ally that he would vanquish the villain and place him instead on the throne of Lanka. Sugriva then directed Susena, his father-in-law, to convey Rama and Lakshmana to Kishkinda and have them treated back to normal condition. In the meanwhile, Sugriva would kill Ravana and return rescuing Sita for Rama. But Susena suggested he knew two herbs, Sanjeevakarani and Visalya, on the Mount Chandra in the ocean of milk. Those herbs would restore life and cure wounds instantly. Maruti was commissioned to carry the mount to the spot. Luckily, Garuda rushed to the scene just then. The Nagastra, or the mystic serpent weapon, became inefficient in the presence of Garuda, the vehicle of Vishnu. The brothers were released and made whole. They became fit for war. Ravana had it proclaimed with tom-tom in the streets of Lanka that Rama and Lakshmana were slain by Indrajit. Hearing it, the Rakshasa shouted for joy. But following in its wake, there was a counter shouting for joy in Sugriva's cantonment, causing surprise to Ravana. He ordered an immediate inquiry into it. The report came that both Rama and Lakshmana were freed from the fetters of Indrajit's Nagastra and that they were like wild elephants leading the army. The Lord of Lanka was both ashamed and annoyed, for it was no easy matter for aught to escape from Indrajit's serpent shackles. The carefree king of Lanka now became somewhat care-laden. Dhumraksha, a valiant commander, was ordered by the Rakshasa king to march with the required army and kill Rama. The commander felt honored. He was called first to duty. He arrayed a huge army and charged on the monkey forces with all sorts of deadly weapons. The monkeys in return hurled huge rocks and trees on the demons. Loss of lives was immense on either side. The encounter between Dhumraksha and Hanuman was terrible to behold. The mighty Maruti flung a huge rock on the demon. The remnant of his army ran in dismay into Lanka. The infuriated Rakshasa king next issued orders to Vajradamshra the valiant to lead without delay a mighty army and do away with the wicked enemies. This warrior bowed in obedience before the king and sallied with a huge, well-equipped army to the southern gate and attacked Angada and his army. The loss of lives on either side was incalculable. Angada's ultimate hand-to-hand fight with Vajradamshra was long and gallant. The demon was done to death in the end. His remaining forces fled in confusion into the city. The Vanara forces gathered round Angada and yelled for joy. Command came next to the unassailable Akampana, the commander-in-chief, to annihilate the enemy forces. Unshakable is the literal meaning of the word Akampana. It was this Akampana who brought the news to Ravana of the total annihilation of the Janasthan in the Dandaka forest. Marshalling a huge and well-equipped army, he moved on his great chariot to the battlefield. The thrust that he made was terrific to look at. The encounter that followed between the two forces was appalling. In the thick cloud of dust raised in the field, no distinction could be made between friend and foe. It so happened that now and then a monkey fought against another monkey and a Rakshasa fought against another Rakshasa. Great was the carnage covering the land with the slain. Akampana was raining arrows on the monkeys and killing them wholesale. This monstrous act of his infuriated Maruti. Anjaneya uprooted a huge tree and banged it on the head of Akampana with such a force that his head was jammed out of recognition. Seeing the fate of the commander-in-chief, the surviving army ran in panic into Lanka. Ordered by Ravana, another commander, Prahasta by name, sallied to the battlefield with a huge detachment heavily armed. The beating of the kettle drum and the blowing of the trumpet deafened the monkey forces. It was expected that by this strategy the monkeys would be all scared away and that the two deserted brothers would be taken captives. Whereas the counter-tumult made by the monkeys was equally piercing into the ears. A deadly fight ensued. Casualty on either side was incalculable. Prahasta, the Rakshasa general, fell in with Nila, the Vanara general. The combat was ferocious. Prahasta succumbed to the deadly rock that Nila valiantly flung on him. The augury force retreated and reported to Ravana the shameful end of his field marshal. Ravana became infuriated hearing of the death of his commander-in-chief at the hands of the enemy. He said,
"The vanquisher of Prahasta cannot be an enemy of mean prowess. So I shall myself encounter and exterminate him and his forces."
Imposing and fear-invoking was Ravana's sally into the battlefield. His magnificent chariot, drawn by 4 spirited steeds, pierced through the Vanara Sena even as a whale would plough through the small fry in the sea. Sugriva gave him battle. In the terrible duel, the Monkey King suffered reverse. Hanuman, who assailed him next, could not do anything tangible. Nila also did not prove himself up to the mark. Though Lakshmana fought valiantly, he was temporarily put down by Ravana. Surveying the sorry situation, Rama came forward to give the valiant a taste of his arrows. Hanuman, who had by now got completely recovered from fatigue, offered to carry Rama on his shoulders for fighting facilities. This simple contrivance made Rama on par with the well-equipped king of Lanka to carry on the warfare. Resourcefulness reveals the genius of man. The battle between the arch enemies was terrible to behold. Every shaft shot out by the one was counteracted by the other. Ravana transgressed the war decorum by hunting Hanuman the vehicle. Rama, in retaliation, dispatched darts that destroyed the chariot into pieces and killed the horses and the charioteer. An arrow aimed on the broad chest of Ravana made him stagger and let fall the bow. Yet another arrow tore away the diadem from the head of the tottering king. Now in clear and grave accent, Rama stated,
You fought very well today. My enemy warriors are defeated by you. You seem tired. So I shall not dispatch you now. Go back to Lanka and take rest. Afterwards, refreshed and mounted on another chariot, you shall come and behold my power.
Humbled, crestfallen and ashamed, the Lord of Lanka trekked back into the palace. This was the first time he met with the rivers in life. So he became reflective. The thought of his wicked deeds pricked his conscience. Still he wanted to make one more desperate struggle to vanquish the monkey forces marshaled by man, both being insignificant creatures in his view. The metal of which Ravana was made was too thick to be agitated long over a trifling rivers in life. He was himself again. He summoned a few of the stewards and ordered,
Go just now to Kumbhakarna and wake him up from his wonted sleep for several months at a stretch. Adopt any method you find effective, rouse him up. Feed him well and bring him here. He is the proper giant to exterminate the impudent invaders.
A curse was spelled by Brahma, the creator god, on Kumbhakarna, that he was to have sound sleep for 5 months and wakefulness for 1 month. This was after the way of the North Pole and the South Pole having sunshine just for 2 months a year. Waking up from sleep, he used to feel rapacious hunger and thirst. An enormous quantity of food and drink were therefore got ready for him. Then came the task of waking him up. The air current created by his breathing was so forceful that those who stood nearby could not maintain balance. A battalion started shouting and yelling into the ears of the sleeping Kumbhakarna, but to no effect. Conches and trumpets were then blown in vain. Strong demons started stroking his body, striking it next and bestling it last. Still, there was no hope of waking him up. Finally, they employed elephants to rock and roll him violently. This process had some effect. The half-awake Rakshasa demanded refreshments, and they were supplied in heaps and barrels. Sleep, hunger and thirst over, Kumbhakarna demanded the cause for disturbing his sleep. The formidable invasion of Lanka by Rama and Sugriva, the belligerent state in which the country was placed, the losses of lives and property incurred so far, the narrow escape of Ravana from death, all these reverses were recounted to him in detail. Because of this emergency, Ravana had asked for the intrusion into the blissful and protracted slumber of his brother.
Shall I go and slay Rama before seeing Ravana?
Was the response made by the veteran votary of sleep. The ministers pleaded with Kumbhakarna to see the king first and then to take action based on war counsel. Kumbhakarna met his brother at the council chamber and upbraided him for his rash action actuated by lust. Ravana got angry, but he controlled himself. He said,
Now Lanka is in danger. I am in need of your prowess, not your preaching. A true friend and kinsman gives help at the time of danger. Brother, if you have love for me, please come for my rescue.
Kumbhakarna was moved by this appeal.
I am your brother. Your enemy is my enemy. Shed all fear. Treat Rama and Lakshmana as slaughtered by me. I shall wipe out the monkey forces.
Thus did Kumbhakarna pledge himself to action. Now Ravana picked up courage. He was proud of his brother who chose to sack the enemy forces single-handed. He, however, equipped him with an enormous army and made him sally on the enemy. Seeing this gigantic figure charging against them, the monkeys ran pell-mell on all directions. Angada, the unassailable, however, rallied his confused forces. They took position and jointly attacked Kumbhakarna on all sides. But they were all repulsed by the giant enemy. Angada again gathered them, using forcible words and friendly reproaches. Anjaneya now attacked Kumbhakarna, hurling a huge crag and hurting him severely. The enemy, however, retaliated and hit Hanuman on his mighty chest. That made him stagger and stay behind for a while. Angada then assailed the enemy, who in return made the assailant fall faint on the ground. Sugriva next attacked him, but with no effect. The enemy's counter-attack with an arrow was dangerous, but Hanuman caught that arrow halfway and snapped it on his thigh. Kumbhakarna next struck Sugriva senseless with a boulder and carried him away, hoping to put an end to the war that way. The monkey forces became depressed because of the capture of their king, but Maruti infused spirit into them, saying that Sugriva would somehow escape. Lanka became jubilant over its hero carrying away its enemy king captive. In the streets of Lanka, Sugriva regained consciousness and clawed off the captor Kumbhakarna's nose and ears. Sister Surpanaka's fate was repeated. The demon threw down the biting monkey, intending to trample him to death, but Sugriva sprang away to his camp. Furiously, Kumbhakarna came again to the battlefield, but he was then no more Kumbhakarna, which means the pot-eared. The noseless and the earless bleeding face was funny to look at. He started consuming monkeys on a large scale, but Lakshmana put an end to that greedy act by showering shafts on him. While appreciating the super warfare of the younger brother, Kumbhakarna chose Rama as the target and directed his deadly weapons against him. With a sharp weapon, Rama cut off one arm of Kumbhakarna. The arm and the mace in it went whirling in the air and fell on the ground, crushing several monkeys to death. Another arrow removed the other arm. Two sharp crescent discs cut and carried away the colossal legs. The maimed giant still continued to do havoc. Rama's arrow cut the head from the trunk and threw it into the sea. Half of the trunk fell into the sea and the other half into Lanka, damaging its walls. That was how Rama did away with Kumbhakarna, the staunch support of the sovereign of Lanka. Ravana was shocked and almost swooned, getting the sad and disgraceful news that Kumbhakarna was cut to pieces by the sharp shafts discharged from the bow of Rama. He felt life was meaningless to him after losing this brother. The Rakshasa element in him became patent through this tragedy. He drove away Vibhishana because he was a hindrance to his wicked ways. He sank in sorrow when the other brother, a party to his evil ways, perished fighting for him. A Rakshasa is one who is selfish to the core and who is inordinately indulgent in sense pleasure. The promoters of his sensuality are his best friends. These base traits are in evidence in Ravana. A bully is also a coward. In other words, that a man who threatens and teases the weak is afraid of the strong. He avoids contact and conflict with the valiant, but courts and gains a score over the unwary. While boasting that the Rakshasa metal was superior to the human metal, Ravana scrupulously avoided contact with Rama at Dandaka forest and at the battlefield in Lanka to the extent possible. He staked his kith and kin for selfish ends. That is the way of the coward. On the other side, the manner in which he utilized Maricha for his personal gains was a mark of a bully. That penitent son of Tataka was forced to choose between the arrows of Ravana and of Rama. Ravana had a number of people as kith and kin. They were cousins and nephews. Trisira, Narantaka, Devantaka, Mahodara, Matta and Atikaya were prominent among them. They approached their king and roused up new spirit in him. They belittled the past defeats as mere chance slips caused by inadvertence. That the superiority of the Rakshasas in warfare should never be ignored nor forgotten was their plea. The royal group then volunteered to fight with the foe and change the defeat into victory. Ravana picked up courage and gave sanction to the new onslaught. The gallant band mobilized the army and charged upon the enemy. Therefore the battle raged again. Many a heroic deed was performed on either side. Angada and Anjaneya proved themselves prodigies of valor. The Rakshasas were no whit behind. They harassed the enemy vehemently, but the demon leaders fell one by one while the monkey chiefs still ranged the field. Furious was the duel between Atikaya and Lakshmana. Long did it rage, each discharging mystic and counter-mystic weapons. Lakshmana was amazed the Rakshasas could resist his attack so long. Finally, he discharged the Brahmastra and did away with the demon. At his fall, the terror-stricken Ravana forces retreated into the Lanka fortress. The literal meaning of the word Ravana is he who makes the world weep and cry. The demon Ravana actually caused the people of the world to cry, but ultimately his karma rebounded upon himself. He sat heartbroken, reviewing the losses he had incurred. His kith and kin had all laid their lives for his sake. The ruin of Lanka gave sight all around him. Sorrow was written large on his face. Indrajit, the conqueror of Indra, appeared before his father and cheered him up.
Grieve not, O father. When I am alive, why should you be worried? I shall make up for all the reverses.
He mobilized a mighty army and moved on to the war front, striking terror in the enemy forces. He went equipped with all the mystic methods of warfare known to him. To ignite a sacrificial fire, the Homagni, and perform mysterious rituals was the first thing he did, thereby making himself invisible and invincible. Then he waged the war. Terrible it was to behold. All the warriors in Rama's camp fought valiantly, but all of them fell defeated one after another, for they had to charge against the wired or an imaginary enemy. Indrajit was nowhere visible while discharging his deadly weapons. On Rama and Lakshmana he let loose the Brahmastra, the inescapable dealer of death. Rama told his brother about the effect of this weapon and also about their willing and seeming submission to it for some time out of regard for Brahma, its originator. Indrajit fought splendidly. Not a single monkey stood erect. All lay prostrate, killed, maimed or made unconscious. Rama and Lakshmana were done to death, so thought Indrajit. He returned triumphant and reported his achievement to his father. Hanuman was the only individual who escaped uninjured. Vibhishana searched for him and found him out. Both of them walked through the carnage and studied the situation. All the warriors, including Sugriva and Angada, lay prostrate. Jambavan gathered up his exhausted energy and called out in subdued voice if it was Anjaneya that was surveying the situation. Getting a positive answer, the old and mutilated bear added,
Maruti, you are the only person who can save us all from this plight. Fly quick to Mount Kailash in the Trans-Himalayas. Adjoining it is a peak full of herbs. 4 among them are more luminous than the rest. They are Mrita Sanjeevani, the herb that gives life to the dead; Visalyakarani, the herb that heals wounds; Savarnyakarani, reviver of them only who belong to the same group or party and not the aliens; and Sandhanakarani, the herb that unites and heals the severed limbs. Please procure those herbs and fly back as quick as possible. On you depends the fate of us all.
Maruti shot up northward like a meteor. He landed on the peak adjoining Kailash. There was no time to mark out the specific herbs, so he uprooted the peak and flew back with it. In its presence, the entire army woke up, revived and rejuvenated. This miraculous feat done, Maruti put back the peak in its place. Sugriva, Angada, Rama, Lakshmana and the entire army were hale and healthy again. That night, a company of Sugriva's army raided Lanka, thereby springing surprise on Ravana. The annoyed king ordered Kumbha and Nikumba, the sons of Kumbhakarna, to chase away the besiegers. But the assailants gave battle and fought furiously. The 2 princes were slain. The help of Indrajit was again sought. He sallied out determined to annihilate the invaders entirely. Again he offered mystic sacrifice on the battlefield and became invisible. He rained death on the enemy forces. Rama and Lakshmana directed their shafts against the hissing arrows of the imperceptible Indrajit. But he became visible again, produced an illusionary Sita and beheaded her by his magic power. At this sudden and unexpected turn of event, Rama was shocked and he sank in despair. He wailed that virtue had been vanquished by wickedness. At that stage, Vibhishana approached him and cheered him up, stating that the slaughter of Sita, which he saw, was merely a delusive magic played by Indrajit. Ravana's dream was not to kill her, but to win her over. In order to make himself invisible again, Indrajit was obliged to light the sacrificial fire and go through the rituals on the war front. Then Rama bade Lakshmana and Hanuman to obstruct the mystic process. Both of them pierced through the protecting augurs and drew the arch enemy into conflict. Indrajit had to leave the mystic rites incomplete and face the foes. And because of the incompleteness of the rituals, he could not become invisible. Visibility deprived him of all advantages over the enemy. A fair and gallant fight was the only possibility now. Mounted on a chariot, Indrajit faced Lakshmana in an open warfare. Lakshmana in his turn mounted himself on the shoulders of Hanuman. The fight began. Dreadful was the duel. They fought furiously for a long time. Neither party waned, but Indrajit's chariot was smashed. The second chariot that he mounted met with the same fate. The mystic weapon employed by the one was counteracted by the other. They vied with each other in the knowledge of secret weapons and in the skill of putting them to use. At last, Lakshmana took up the Indrastra and discharged it, uttering, "Let Rama's righteousness and truthfulness have their effect on Indrajit, the son of Ravana." Off went the head of Indrajit, the conqueror of gods, the protector of the mighty Ravana. As his body rolled on the ground headless, signs of auspiciousness became evident on earth. The monkeys and bear forces shouted for joy. Hearing that Indrajit was slain by Lakshmana, Ravana was stunned. He who caused pang to countless souls was compelled to taste it himself to the point of heartbreak. He took some time to recover from that woeful shock. He then made the grim determination to chop off the head of Vaidehi in revenge. Sword in hand, he hurried to Ashoka garden. But Suparswa, a sensible minister, made bold to remind the Rakshasa villain that by slaughtering a defenseless captive woman, he would gain ignominy. Instead, he was to kill Rama and make Sita his own. So Ravana desisted and recoiled with dejection. The bereaved Ravana next ordered his reserve forces to make an all-out attack on Rama. If they failed to kill him, the king would himself destroy that forest dweller. The gallant army sallied out against Rama. What ensued was a marvel. Rama employed the Gandharva Astra, known only to himself and to Shiva. Because of that weapon, his presence was felt everywhere, and at the same time, he was invisible. This is characteristic of Paramatman. The Rakshasa stock was all annihilated. The bereft women and children were all weeping and wailing within the city of Lanka. They wailed that the old prediction that a woman would be the cause of the destruction of the Rakshasas of Lanka had come true in the person of Sita. Hearing the heartrending cries of the Rakshasis, Ravana grew infuriated. He ordered the yoking of the horses to the chariot, the mounting of the weapons on the chariot, and the marshalling of the remnant of his warriors and army. He sallied forth to avenge the slaughter of his relatives and generals. Fire was sparkling out of his eyes, as it were, but nature outside struck an inauspicious note. The sun seemed pale, quarters hazy, and creatures depressed. But the war-infatuated Ravana, heading towards annihilation, paid no heed to portents and pushed against the monkey forces, slaying them in large numbers. Equally ferocious was Sugriva's onslaught on the Rakshasas. The death blow that he dealt on Virupaksha, the demon general, was terrifying to the foe. The fallen one was replaced by Mahodara, another augury chief. After a gallant fight, he also fell victim to Sugriva. Angada, in his turn, gave a valiant fight with Mahaparswa, another Rakshasa general, and killed him. The loss of the last three generals stirred Ravana to greater wrath. He directed his arrows against Rama. A tremendous duel ensued. Each tried to hurt the other, discharging mystic weapons, but each counteracted the weapons of the other. The Nagastra employed by Ravana was made ineffective by the Garudastra shot out by Rama. They were on par with each other both in the knowledge of the mystic weapons and in the skill of putting them to use. While the Rama-Ravana war was waging terribly, Lakshmana attacked the charioteer of Ravana and slew him. At the same time, Vibhishana killed the steeds yoked to Ravana's chariot. The infuriated lord of Lanka leapt to earth and let loose the Sukti weapon against his own brother, now allied to the foe. Lakshmana quickly threw himself in front of Vibhishana, received the dart himself and saved the ally. Lakshmana fell senseless on earth. Rama had no time to attend on his wounded brother. He charged hard on the foe and chased him away frightened. Then he ran to Lakshmana and pulled out of his chest the arrow that could not be extricated by the attending monkeys. Lakshmana seemed lifeless to the anxious elder brother, so he gave vent to lamentation. Life on earth seemed purposeless to Rama without Lakshmana. But Sushena sought to cheer him up, pointing out that there were signs of life lingering in Lakshmana. Then he asked Hanuman to hurry up to the Himalayas and bring those mysterious herbs that could heal and revive life. This done, Lakshmana rose recouped to normalcy. Rama was himself again, seeing his brother hail. The younger brother then reminded Rama of his pledge to kill Ravana. It was to be done before sunset that day. Ravana rearmed himself with another chariot and suitable weapons and appeared gallant on the battlefield. When Raghava stood on earth to assail the villain, Indra, the king of gods, thought it proper to arm him with celestial weapons fitted in the chariot and driven by his charioteer Matali. He descended that fully equipped vehicle on earth before Rama and submitted that it was offered to him by Indra. Providentially, help comes always to a good cause. Now the celestials took position in different regions to witness the warfare between the virtue and wickedness. In the course of a terrible combat, Ravana employed the devastating Sulayuddha. While it was causing havoc, Rama employed Shakti Ayuddha supplied by Indra. Not only did it nullify the effect of the Sulayuddha, but it was also wrecking the faculty of understanding of Ravana. At this stage, Raghupati stated, "You made a hero of yourself by stealing Sita away during my absence. Now prove your worth facing my arrows." The villain had no word to utter. His weapons were failing. Seeing his plight, the charioteer withdrew his vehicle from the scene of war. The momentary confused state of mind of Ravana gave place to his normal demoniacism. He flared upon the charioteer for disgracing him by driving the chariot away from the enemy front. But the driver pacified him, stating that actually he discerned wariness both in the fighting king and in the tugging steeds, and that was the cause of his pulling away from the enemy. The refreshed Ravana drove again to engage the enemy in war. In the meanwhile, the sage Agastya, who had already endowned Rama with celestial weapons, made his appearance before his hero and instructed him in Aditya Hridaya, the almighty formula. Rama was therefore fully equipped for the decisive battle. Rama and Ravana attacked each other ferociously. The armies on either side suspended their warfare and watched the gallant fight with amazement and suspended breath. Ravana sought to smash the flagstaff of Rama's chariot, but the attempt became futile. Raghava's retaliation was marvelous. With a single arrow, he snapped off the flagstaff on the enemy's vehicle. Seeing the swiftness of the steeds yoked to the chariot used by Rama, the enemy sought to slay them with his deadly shafts, but Rama's counter arrows made them ineffective. In his turn, Raghupati chose to slay the steeds that drew dexterously the chariot of Ravana, but he also arrested the arrows of his enemy with equal cleverness. The charge of darts and counter darts on either side was gaining speed. The whizzing arrows made a canopy, so to say, above the battlefield. The denizens of heaven and earth gazed with wonder at the amazing performances of the demon and the divine person. Rama-Ravana fight was unparalleled, was their verdict. Finally, Rama chose to chop off the head of the enemy. With that decision, he aimed a shining arrow at him. It had its effect. Off went the head, but in its place, another head sprouted. Head after head was cut off. New head after head was replacing the fallen one. Day and night the war waged, the result being the same, Ravana's head being renewed. Rama then took up the all-powerful Brahmastra, invoked the divine power into it, and discharged it against Ravana, the embodiment of wickedness. It pierced through his heart, touched the earth, and returned to Rama's shaft case. Ravana rolled dead on the ground. Spiritual enlightenment is the only panacea for the endless earthly evils. The mortals and the immortals shouted for joy. Rama's foremost exploit on the earth was achieved. Lanka became the land of Vibhishana. Though born of a demon stock, Vibhishana was imbued with noble elements. In public interest, he saw to it that Ravana, the embodiment of evil force, was eliminated. But his ties of blood as brother now came to the forefront. So he gave vent to spontaneous feeling of sorrow and bereavement. The one that never knew defeat from the immortals had been done to death by a mortal. Vibhishana's warnings had not been heeded. Utter destruction was the result. Thus he lamented. After a while, Rama intervened, consoled him, and instructed him to perform the obsequies befitting a Vedic scholar, a person who performed rare penance for the acquisition of mighty powers, a gifted king and an invincible warrior. All of them the fallen Ravana was. He fell fighting like a hero. Death at the hands of Rama had washed away all his sins. So Vibhishana was to adore his brother through the rites. Along with the other queens, Mandodari, the first queen of Ravana, tramped to the field of tragedy and wailed aloud.
My lord, who has been the lord of the three worlds, now lies on dust mangled to death by a man. My dream that I would never taste sorrow is snapped. The pang of it gnaws at me now. Victory over gods was a watchword of my lord. Alas, so easily he lies slain by a mortal. I prided myself upon the unparalleled prowess of my husband and of my son Indrajit. Now I am left behind a forlorn destitute. My husband separated Sita from her husband. I did not then understand her sorrow. Now that I am separated from my husband, I realize her sorrow. She will be reunited with her husband. I am widowed once for all. Fate is all-powerful.
Rama asked Matali to take back Indra's chariot to his heavenly region. He then approached Sugriva, embraced him warmly and thanked him heartily for the unimaginable service that he rendered in the defeat of Ravana. A help of that kind was a rare phenomenon. Instructed by Rama, his counterpart Lakshmana gave a ceremonious bath to Vibhishana and crowned him the king of Lanka. Rama next directed Hanuman to convey the happenings to Sita in the Ashoka grove. Hanuman delightfully wended his way to the presence of Sita, prostrated before her, and conveyed the glad news.
Mother, the villain Ravana is killed by Rama. You are no more a captive. This place belongs to Vibhishana, our ally and devotee of Rama. So, you are in your own place. Rama, Lakshmana, Sugriva and Vibhishana send to you their message of welfare. They are anxious to hear about your welfare.
Sita remains mute and motionless.
Mother, why do you not speak?
With tears rolling down her cheeks, Sita said, Emotion chokes my heart, it ties my tongue. How shall I repay you? I am not able to pitch upon the prize that I should bestow upon you.
Rama's victory is the prize I have obtained. Mother, there is no other reward equal to it.
Great hero, your wisdom is superb.
your prowess matchless, your character sterling, your humility unsurpassed. You are the embodiment of perfection.
Mother, here stands the demoness who teased and tormented you. Permit me, I shall dispatch them to the nethermost region. A hit, a blow, a knock, a kick and a slap. These are enough to wipe them out.
No, my dear son, this is not the way of the virtuous. The sinner who caused me sorrow is slain. These creatures were mere instruments. We must be compassionate towards them. My suffering was providential. Nobody should be blamed for it, said Sita. Hanuman understands that this magnanimity is possible of none but the spouse of Rama. Then he speaks.
Mother, what message shall I carry from you to Rama?
Sita said, I long for reunion with my Lord. Hanuman prostrates and departs. In response to Anjaneya's report, Rama asked Vibhishana to have Vaidehi dressed up and escorted to his presence. Vibhishana entrusted this pleasant duty to the womenfolk in the palace. Maithili had thought of presenting herself haggard to the Lord, but Rama's wish was carried out. Sita was given a thoroughgoing bath and was donned befittingly. In a palanquin she was solemnly conveyed before Rama. The Rakshasas and the Vanaras thronged shoulder to shoulder to have a view of the woman, because of whom Ravana and many others died and the history of Lanka changed. Raghurama's bearing had now become visibly changed. The normal fascinating attitude had given place to a frightful one. The meeting of the husband and wife after a long separation was anything but joyous. In grave accent, Rama spoke to the weeping Sita. I sought the friendship of Sugriva and of Vibhishana in order to take action against the lustful and wicked Ravana. He deserved death, and that has been meted out to him for the protection of Dharma. For the same reason, O Sita, I shall have to take action against you. Ravana the profane carried you away by force. He kept you in his house for several months, casting lustful gaze at you. You are therefore defiled. I shall not have reunion with the tainted Sita. I disown you. You may choose to live wherever and with whomsoever you like. The weeping Sita now turned into a hero-souled Sita. She responded, Rama, O Aryaputra, why do you speak like a commoner? I am not what you allege. I swear I am ever the same stainless Sita. What had happened to me was providential. Against painful odds, I held on to life believing that it belonged to Rama and not to me. But the contrary is pronounced just now. If this message had been sent to me through Hanuman, untold trouble to many assembled here would have been averted. Lingering pain to me also would have been terminated by my dropping off the body. A person's physical frame is vulnerable to pollution, however much it may be kept protected, and that has been my fate. But in mind and spirit I am whole and chaste. I know I am pure as purity itself. Now that Rama has disowned me, I am free to handle my life as I like. I shall consign it to fire and merge the core of my being into the cosmic reality which I equate with Rama. Lakshmana, you have been magnanimous to me more than I deserve. This last kindly act do for me. Please light up a blazing fire for me, said Sita. With dismay and indignation, Lakshmana looked at Rama. His calm silence amounted to consent. The younger brother therefore kindled a huge fire. Then Sita silently circumambulated her husband in reverence, stood before the blazing bonfire and spoke. O God of fire, unforeseen circumstances separated me bodily from Rama and imprisoned me in an unwanted environment. So Rama has a right to test me. You please burn up my body if you find it polluted. Either as Janaki or as Vaidehi, the bodiless, I shall be ever in union with Rama. Saying so, she walked into the leaping flames and disappeared. The entire assembly stood stunned and aghast. Not a word from a single soul. Was this the end? The celestials descended on earth and gathered in mute admiration round the fire. The god of fire took from within the flames and announced,
Sita is the embodiment of purity. Therefore, Rama, I am unable to burn her.
Rejuvenated, radiant and meek Sita walked out of the all-consuming fire. She was merciful to one and all, to him who tempted her, them that teased her, and him that tested her. Rama received Sita with all tenderness. The fire ordeal made their reunion sublime and soul-elevating.
The celestials and the terrestrials who were longing for this divine sight shouted for joy and praised and adored Sita Rama in glowing terms. The departed King Dasaratha was escorted in a brilliant chariot from the land of Indra to the field of Rama's action in order to make the joy of Rama's exploit increase manifold. Raghunandana prostrated in reverence before his father. The old king put it to the son that the company of the rishis in heaven gave him no joy because of his separation from Rama. Now he had got completely consoled because of the great cosmic purpose behind the separation. Embracing the son, he gained everlasting bliss. He exhorted the son to return to Ayodhya forthwith and assume the throne. He asked Lakshmana to serve his brother loyally. He blessed Sita to be the model wife of Rama. He asked her not to mind the test imposed on her by Rama in order to set an example to the world. Before the father ascended again to heaven, the son made a plea.
Father, I implore you not to harbor ill will towards my mother Kaikeyi and my brother Bharata.
Said Rama, a more magnanimous mind than this, the world is yet to see. Indra, who was delighted with Rama's rare exploits, offered to do him some substantial good turn. Rama pleaded that all those monkeys and bears who laid down lives for his cause and all those who are maimed and wounded might be restored to robust life. That prayer was liberally granted by Indra. The dead monkeys and bears rose to greet the living ones. The joy of it was immense. Vibhishana expressed to Rama his desire to bathe and decorate him to his heart's content and to entertain his entire retinue to a sumptuous feast. His further plea was that Rama should stay long in Lanka. Rama's polite reply was that time at his disposal was short. He had to hasten back to Ayodhya to fulfill his promise to the sorrow-stricken Bharata. While he was still in asceticism, Rama was neither to feast nor to abandon his ascetic attire. But Vibhishana was instead requested to entertain Sugriva and his army befitting the new monarch of Lanka. Vibhishana agreed to these pertinent points of Rama and offered to solve the time problem by transporting Rama and his retinue to Ayodhya quickly by the Pushpaka flying chariot which Ravana had appropriated from Kubera, the lord of wealth. The gifts that Vibhishana made to Sugriva and his retinue were liberal and costly. These acts of cordiality and friendship were undreamt of during Ravana's regime. Pushpaka chariot flew northward in the air taking Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, Sugriva, Vibhishana and their followers. Rama pointed out from air to Sita the places connected with their forest life. The chariot finally touched Bharadwaja Ashrama. 14 years ago, Rama's asceticism in the forest was formally commenced at Bharadwaja Ashrama and now it was formally terminated at the same sacred place. The Maharishi was immensely pleased with the exploits of Rama. The trio that set out southward then had now returned with a multitude. The Maharishi bade the party stay a day at the ashrama. In the meanwhile, Hanuman was sent in advance to communicate to Guha and to Bharata the glad news of Rama's arrival at Ayodhya on the morrow. Hanuman was further commissioned to observe if Bharata had got attached to the power of sovereignty that he had tasted and enjoyed for 14 years. In that case, he would be left undisturbed to reign over the vast empire. Hanuman, the harbinger of happy news, brought delight first to Guha and then hastened to Nandigram in the outskirts of Ayodhya. He saw Bharata and understood the stuff he was made of. There was no trace of regal splendor in him. Attired as an ascetic, thin and worn out, he was absorbed in the thought of Rama. He was surrounded by able and upright ministers and generals who had developed the empire in every respect. Meditation on Rama for 14 years made its mark on Bharata. In thought, word and deed, he was the vehicle of Rama. Will I see my brother Rama again? Was the anguish burning in his heart day and night. The long-expected day of Rama's return had come, but no news of his whereabouts. If my brother does not turn up today as promised, I will not be able to hold on to life. So thought Bharata. Presently a person presented himself and declared,
Rama returns tomorrow with Sita and Lakshmana.
It seemed as if the dying Bharata was infused with new life. Are you man or God who gives this message to me? Bharata interrogated and swooned with joy. The agreeable shock over, Hanuman introduced himself and recounted briefly all that took place since Bharata parted with Rama at Chitrakutam. The languishing life of the two brothers at Nandigram got lit up with new hope and energy. Bharata issued orders to the ministers, army men and to the public to make rapid preparation to give a fitting reception to the homecoming king. The city rose like one man and got the royal road decorated and filled with crowds seething with joy. As the approaching Pushpaka chariot became visible in the sky, Bharata carried the wooden sandals of Rama on his head and stood in reverence. When the chariot touched the ground, he fixed the sandals to the feet of Rama as a mark of returning the kingdom to its worthy sovereign. Then the brothers embraced. Bharata and Shatrugna touched the feet of Sita in reverence. Sugriva and Vibhishana were introduced to them as the newly earned brothers. Alighting from the chariot, Rama touched the feet of his mothers in reverence. Then Sita and Lakshmana did the same. The procession moved towards Ayodhya. The jubilant crowds were mad with joy. 14 years ago, when Rama snatched himself away from the city, the feelings were different. Blessed were the many who lived to see Rama returning, achieving superhuman deeds, and establishing Dharma wherever he went. Had he adhered exclusively to Ayodhya, as desired by the then populace, his advent would not have been the great gain that it was to the world outside. In the presence of the mothers in the palace, Bharata submitted to Rama.
Brother, it was in obedience to your wish that I chose to be your regent. The thought of your safe return sustained me these 14 years. Blessed I am that I see you again as the king of Ayodhya. Please examine the treasure, army, and the palace. The wealth is increased manifold. Your subjects have all been well looked after.
Bharata was more delighted in surrendering the kingdom given to him than one would be in gaining a kingdom. Rama, on his part, had no greedy eye on the wealth of the kingdoms of Kishkinda and Lanka, which he changed from bad to good. He was a kingmaker wherever he went. Legitimately, he could have laid hand on a large portion of the opulent wealth of Lanka, but not even a feast would he accept from Vibhishana. On the other hand, on the occasion of his coronation at Ayodhya, his gifts of costly costumes and jewels to Sugriva, Vibhishana and the retinue were kingly. The things required for the coronation were quickly gathered. Sacred waters were procured from all the holy places. At the appointed time, on the auspicious day, Rama and Sita were royally robed and placed on the bedecked throne. Vasishta sprinkled the sanctified holy waters on them. The jeweled crown of the solar rays was placed on Rama's head. Not only the terrestrial dignitaries but also the celestials thronged to witness the august ceremony. The great rishis pronounced benediction. People on earth rejoiced because Rama had become the king of Ayodhya. Ramarajya was a sweet combination of monarchy and democracy. It was a monarchy because Rama, the embodiment of Dharma, protected it with the paternal care. He paid personal attention to the welfare of all sections of his subjects. Individuals as well as groups had free and easy access to their beloved king. Their representations were all duly attended to by Rama. It was democracy because people at all levels were fully represented in the council that guided the king. Public opinion was respected and given effect to as if it were a mandate from above. Because of its smooth and harmonious working, people were hardly ever conscious of a government governing them. And that was Ramarajya. Ramarajya remained long the model for the world. People were devoted to God. Righteousness prevailed everywhere. Honest endeavor and noble toil marked mankind. Nobody was a drone in society. Peace and plenty reigned supreme. People were all happy and contented. People were all healthy. Famine, drought and pestilence were unheard of. Theft and murder never took place. Fear was not, nor anxiety. Rain and sunshine were balanced. Lands and cows yielded in plenty. Earth became as heaven because Lakshmi as Sita sat by the side of Rama. The scheme of Ramayana did not start with Rama and end with him. It is an eternal variety working subjectively in the minds of all souls struggling for self-emulation. The glory of Ramayana consists in projecting objective personalities embodying the various forces at work in man. As Akasha or the space is the common background of all that exists, Paramatman or the cosmic reality herein called Rama is the innermost core and the basis of man. Sita is the Jivatman or the individual self. What she is to Rama, the Jivatman is to Paramatman. She is eternally wedded to Rama. Even so, the individual self has its being in Paramatman. It is Vishnu who incarnated as Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana and Shatrugna. Though four in form, they were one in spirit. Vali and Sugriva are the representatives of earthly brothers. Sometimes misunderstanding separates them, but it is only a passing phase in their career. There are three dispositions in man termed as Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva promotes pure life, Rajas rouses up passion and lust, and Tamas is given to sleep and inertia. Among the three brothers in Lanka, Vibhishana is constituted of Sattva. He therefore opposes the evil ways of his brother Ravana. Kumbhakarna is made of Tamas. Therefore he is given to inordinate sleep and rapacious eating. Ravana is the embodiment of Rajas. He represents the licentious mind owning 5 organs of perception and 5 organs of action. These 10 organs are allegorically called his 10 heads. Ravana, the wicked mind, alienates Sita, the Jivatman, from Rama, the Paramatman, and tries to impose the impossible relationship with it. Whereas Sita, the Jivatman, ignores the evil mind of Ravana and pangs for reunion with Rama, the Paramatman. Guru or the spiritual master is a person who brings about reunion between the Jivatman and the Paramatman. He is necessarily a person of sterling character, irrespective of his origin. Hanuman is the personified Guru. He searches and finds out the pinning Sita, or the competent Jivatman, and assures her reunion with her Lord. The Rama-Ravana warfare is the conflict between virtue and wickedness. The latter is very tenacious, still the former prevails in the end. The Jivatman gains yoga with the Paramatman. In this manner, Ramayana is enacted by all the Jivatmans wending towards perfection.
Jai Shri Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sri 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 Ram, Jai Ram.